$700 for Dehancer? Yeah, I'm not paying that. What's up creators, I hope you're doing well. In this video, we're going to take a look at the Film Look Creator in DaVinci Resolve. So in recent years, Film Look emulators have become very popular. In particular, Dehancer comes to mind, but they also come with a huge price tag. But if you already operate in DaVinci Resolve Studio, either the 19 or 20 version, you already have a Film Look emulator installed. So let's take a look at it. So creators, here I am in DaVinci Resolve and I've booted up the color module. And right here I have this clip, stock clip in Rec 709, so no need to convert it. So we're gonna go into the effects, and right here on the film emulation, you're gonna find Film Look Creator. So you're gonna drag it into one node. So right here you can notice that as I applied the effect, our video automatically changed and we didn't move a single thing. And that's because Film Look Creator has some presets installed. So right here you have presets. Right now it's applied with a 35mm default. You can change that into their cinematic preset, which are these black bars, bleach, bypass. But for purposes of this tutorial, we're going to start with a clean slate over here. And just to have a better view of what we're doing, I'm going to Shift F on my keyboard. So we have a bigger screen, but we also have our adjustments at the right. So first of all, under our presets, what we have over here is the color blend and the effects blend. These are two general sliders. Now the color blend will only alter the amount of effect that's being applied from the color settings over here and also the split tone. All the others that we have over here, vignette, halation, bloom, grain, flickering, gate weave, film gate, all of these are going to be controlled by the general control or effects blend that we have over here. So we can basically adjust the intensity of each part of our edit over here. Also, we have 3D compatible LUT. So that is if you want to export the colors that you're editing right here in this effect as a LUT to apply to other clips. But the only caveat is that if you mark it, you can notice that the effects are basically gone. Why? Because cube files or LUTs can't add any grain, can't add any vignette or any bloom or any effect that's going to be added afterwards. So right here, if I export my LUT, it's only going to contain the color settings and the split toning. So let me just unmark this. We're not exporting LUTs right now. Then after the general sliders, we have our color space overrides. Now, if your clip maybe is in log format and you haven't converted it into Rec 709, and you can do it over here by changing the input color space and the input gamma and into the output or the desired color space that you want to transform. In my case, this video is already in Rec 709 because I reconverted it in color management, or you can do it in color space transform. But right here, this is a nice option to have within this effect. Next, after that, we have our film look. Now, these are also presets, but these ones go under our edit. So as you can see, if I add intensity to the blend, we have the core look cinematic applied. We can change it to Rochester, to Akasaka, to Elated, or to Vintage. But as you can see, none of our values in the color settings are being shifted. So these presets are being applied under our edit. So they're always going to be there, just altering the colors of our clip. So it all depends. You want to use them, you don't want to use them. I like to use maybe cinematic. And if you were using Dehancer, right here is where instead of these 5 effects, you would have all your replications or emulations of the Kodak films or the Fuji films or anything that they come up with. So right here we only have a few presets, but they're more than enough because we have loads of customizations down below. Also, you can just change the intensity, of course. And then the skin bias, if you go towards the negatives, it's going to affect the skin tones. As you can see over here, the skin tones are being affected. If you go all the way to the 1, then your skin tones are going to be just as you had them in the original clip. So it all depends if you want the cinematic core look to be affecting the skin tones or not. So right here, I like to leave them just as they were in the clip all the way to the 1. So I'm going to go editing this clip as well as I'm explaining each of the tools so you can see what they do. So now to the color settings. So in color settings, these are basically our basic corrections. Here we can alter the exposure to make our clip a bit darker or a bit brighter. Then we can add some contrast. By default, DaVinci Resolve adds a 0.250 of contrast. I'm not too sure I always like it, so I like to leave it at 1. 1 is going to be our neutral value over here. Highlights are going to control if we have pure white in our image. So as you can see, look at the sky over here at the background. If I play around with the highlights, you can shift between muted whites over here or full on white with natural contrast. So that all depends to you. Then in the other opposite, we have fade, which will affect the blacks and their intensity. So at 0, we have pure blacks. And if we go towards the positives, notice how our blacks shift into gray tones. It all depends on what you're looking for. Maybe this washed out look is what you want. In this case, I'm just going to push it just a bit. Then white balance and tint, well, they do what they say. And this is quite important to achieving a film look. Maybe you want a warmer tone, so you go towards the positives. And then sometimes maybe you want a greenish tint, so you're going to go towards the negatives with the tint. Towards the positives, you add magenta, but towards the negatives, also slightly add a bit of green tint into the image. Then we have subtracted saturation over here, and this name is a bit confusing. It's just saturation, but without or trying not to alter the intensity or the brightness of the colors affected. Normally in programs like Photoshop or Lightroom or even DaVinci Resolve, when you alter the saturation, the colors also brighten up or they're darken. So right here, they're just trying, it's not completely effective, but they're trying to affect the saturation without changing the exposure of the hues. So right here you can see that they're doing quite a good job. The colors are not being too bright or darkened if I go towards the negative. So right here you can add a bit of saturation into your clip. Then richness or intensity, as we have it in Lightroom, for example, will concentrate in altering the saturation either towards the positives or towards the negatives of the primary colors on your image. So right here, the dominant colors on my image are the oranges of the skin tones and the greens of the foliage in the background. So if I push intensity, notice how these two colors are going to be pushed and be altered by the slider, but not so much the blues that we have over here in the background over here. The blues are not going to be affected too much by the richness because we're only affecting the main colors on our clip. So I don't want to go too high, but maybe a bit more if I want to go for more of an intense saturated film look. The final slider is bleach bypass, which will suck out all the saturation on your clip and add more contrast. And this is an effect that we can see in films like Saving Private Ryan, for example, to create a very dramatic and very sad looking image. In this case, I'm going to leave it at 0. I'm not interested in it. So I think right here, I'm happy with these results. Maybe add a bit more contrast before we move into the split toning. So split toning, what it is the separation or the splitting of the RGB curves that we have in the RGB tone curve over here, and it always works with color contrast. So as I enable it, you can shift between a natural looking split tone or a stronger looking one for more dramatic effects. I like to leave it at natural, and to protect the neutrals so we don't affect or add a tint into the blacks or into the whites. Then we can add some amount. I'm going to go all the way to 1 to the maximum just to see the hues that I'm working with, and then I'm going to drag the amount down. The hue angle will shift the hues, so it's going to be always opposite colors or complementary colors because it's color contrast. So yellows, if you have yellow in the highlights, you can have blue in the shadows. If you have green in the highlights, then in the shadows you can have magentas. So it's always the direct opposite in the color wheel. So right here, for example, if I don't move it too much, I have a classical teal and orange. We have some teal appearing in the shadows. If I deactivate it, there's the teal, and I have the orange in the highlights. And then the pivot will determine how more shifted towards one side of the spectrum your image is. So for example, here we have a teal and orange. If I go all the way towards the positives, the teal is taking more relevance throughout the entire image. If I go towards the negatives, the orange takes more intensity and the teal is basically disappeared. So right here you can play around with the split toning. In this case, I'm going to leave the pivot at 0 or at the natural value, and the amount I'm just going to reduce it. You don't want to go too high with these because the split toning can be a bit dramatic in this emulation effect. So this is what it's done, very subtle, just adding a slight teal and orange effect. So all these values that we just altered are the colors. So these are going to be controlled by the color blend. So that's the color settings, the film look, and also the split tone. So right here you can see what's being affected by this general slider, and we can also see the before and after. This is before, and after. This is our film look edit in terms of color, contrast, and exposure. Okay, next we move into the second part of the emulation, which is the effects. So right here, we're going to start off. Here we have vignette. Well, I don't like to add them. And if I add them, they're very subtle. So right here, you can increase the intensity, the amount, and also the size, how deep it goes into the center of your image. If you're going to add vignette, just don't add it only to the borders, to the corners, because it doesn't look very nice. Just go maybe towards the half and just add some intensity. But in this case, I'm not going to add too much, just a slight vignette in the corners. Then we have halation. Now halation is an artifact or a defect from old lenses which weren't as refined. The glass wasn't as precise as it is right now, and what it creates is in contrasting edges and silhouettes or any place where you have harsh contrast, the silhouette is going to have a slight yellowish tint or reddish tint, and that's just a defect of how the lens is capturing the light. So right here I don't have my central subject in contrast, but we have the trees in the background which are silhouetted. So let's add some halation. Let's apply it first, and I'm just going to exaggerate the movement so you can see what it does. You can add some radius, and now over here in particular you can see what it's doing. This is before and after, and it's adding this yellowish fringe to all the contrasting edges. So right here you can play around with the radius, how bright it is, how intense it is, the saturation, and also the hue, because it does shift from lens to lens, from red to yellow to even some teal colors or some green colors. So here you can shift around to see which halation you like. Again, in other clips it's going to be a lot more evident, so go steady with this one, don't go too high like here, otherwise it will look dreadful on your image. So right here I'm just going to add a bit, not too much, just adding this effect, which is very popular to replicating the film look. Just adding some defects into our already very sharp and precise digital image over here. Okay, then we have bloom. Now bloom goes hand in hand with halation because it also affects the bright parts on our image, and we will create just a little glowing effect around the highlights. Now this is very similar to what a mist filter or the fusion filter is trying to replicate. For example, this one that I have on camera right now. If I just activate the, look at this, this is bloom. This is just the glowing effect that is creating this halation filter. If I remove it from the lens, the glowing effect is a lot more subtle. If I add it once again, it's very dramatic. So this is in essence what bloom is creating in the emulation. Now in movies, if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, remember the scene where the Fellowship of the Ring comes to Lorien and they visit Galadriel and Lord Celeborn come down and they glow incredibly? That's done with diffusion. So right here we can enable bloom, and this creates this glowing effect around our highlights in our image. And you have to be careful right here because it also subtracts a bit of the contrast and sharpness of your central model. So add it very carefully, but it just creates this dream-like effect on your image as well. Okay, let me just make color a bit smaller and split tone so we have more space. Next we have grain, and the presets of grain are very nice. They're not the best that I've seen, but they're very nice. And right here you can see, here we have right now 35mm, which is I think the best one. We have some presets also. You can just alter the amount, the size, the softness, and the defocus that it's adding. 65mm grain is a bit too sharp for me. It's a bit too small. It just almost looks like noise. So 35 for me is the best. You can also go into 16 or 8mm, which are bigger. It all depends on the look that you're going for. I'm going to leave it at 35. And in the image defocus, I'm gonna put it all the way to 1 because I don't want the grain to reduce the sharpness of my image. If you go towards the negative, notice how our image becomes blurry. Towards the positives, it becomes sharper. So I'm gonna leave it like that. Then we have flicker. Flicker, I don't like to use it. Both flicker and also weave gate are trying to simulate the effect of when you went to the cinema. If you're older than me or old as me, you went to the cinema and they didn't use digital film, they used the cassette going around. Sometimes you see the movie flickering and weaving, and that's exactly what we're trying to replicate right here. I don't like to use them. Let me just enable these so you can see what they're doing. And here you can see the flickering in the highlights, and that's basically done by this one. And then you can see a slight little wobble, and that's done by the gate over here. So I don't like to apply them, but they're there in case you want to use them. Finally, we have film gate, and film gate, well, this is just aesthetics. It will crop your image or add these black bars depending on what you're looking for to your video, just to try to replicate the look of specific films. In this case, I don't like to add them, and if I add them, I add them in the project settings, really cropping my video completely instead of adding these overlays over my film emulation. So I don't like to apply that. And then finally we have global blend, and this will basically just change the blending of our entire edit. So right here, if our effect is a bit too strong, you can reduce it just a bit or add more. This is very helpful if you're applying the same edit into different clips with different types of exposure and contrast. Right here you can just correct a bit of the intensity just to match your different clips. So we can see the before and after. This is our Film Look Creator. This is the original video. and after, and it looks fantastic in my eyes. So play around with this Film Look Creator. I know it looks a bit intimidating at start, but once you play around with it, it's very easy to manipulate and achieve very nice looking images in my opinion. These presets are looking fantastic, and with a simple edit as we did right now, it looks also fantastic. Now, if you're not too fond of editing, or you don't want to go through all these sliders, or maybe you just want to support me, I've created a pack with 20 presets created with a Film Look emulator within DaVinci Resolve called the C41 Pack. So what's in there, and you can see that the filters are loaded up into gallery over here. You can see that these are just presets that I've created with a film look effect. And right here, you can scroll over them to see the previews. Some of them are all subtle, some of them are a bit more warm, others are cooler. And they're very nice. Most of them, I like to use them in separate situations. And then the ones in yellow, these ones, I went ham with them. These ones are a lot more dramatic, a lot more intense, more contrasty, more halation, more blue, more green. These ones I really like, in particular because I like to go for more of a dramatic edit. So right here you can find them, and the way to use them is quite simple. So let me just scroll over them. Let's say that I want to apply this one, which adds this dream-like effect to my videos. What I like to do, what you have to do to use them is just select them and drag them into a node in your node tree. And as you can see, what they are basically pre-created node trees or preset node trees with the film look effect in different instances, depending on the intensity or the variation, and some creative adjustments over here. So right here, we applied the number 13 in Romans. And if you take a broader look, this is how it looks before and after, and it's a very dramatic effect, but I really like them. So if you want to check them out, the link to my shop is up here. If you can check it out or purchase that pack or any other, it really helps me out. I'll be very thankful. And if you can't, don't worry guys, just like the video, subscribe, all those things. I'm Tony Fuentes. Cheers to all of you, and I'll see you in the next one.